Good evening. Welcome to Defacto Review, our weekly in-depth analysis on the current news and affairs with our commentator and economist, Mr. Jargal Defacto.
Good evening.
And I'm your host, Nyamdorj. You can join in on our conversation on MNB World Facebook page and on Twitter with #Jargal_Defacto. Now let's get into our topics for today. Human Development Report of UNDP was released. Why was the decision of Mongolian government recalled? Minister Nyamdorj's proposal to abolish Mongolian Bar Association. Now let's get into our first topic. The Human Development Report, or HDR, is an annual report published by the Human Development Report Office of the United Nations Development Programme. Although Mongolia is in the high human development category, we are still on the 92nd spot after 189 countries, same as previous years. So our first question about this one is, the report says that Mongolia is in high human development category. What are the criteria which determines these?
Well, there is a very important report announced last week in Mongolia, and that's about UNDP Human Development Report 2019, basically showing 2018 the state of human development in the world. And this report, this important report, is called Beyond Income, Beyond Averages, and Beyond Today. That's the name of this year report, where they have classified some 200 plus countries into 4 categories. The first one is a very high human development index country. There are 62 of them. And then high human development index country, 54 of them, in which Mongolia is. And medium 37 and low 35 countries. So this report is countries are ranked by 3 composite indices, basic 3 dimensions of human development, which is a long and healthy life, knowledge, where education of years of schooling is calculated, and the third, a decent standard of living. So Mongolia has 92nd place in this report, unlike 94th space in 2017. Just for comparison, Russia has 49 and 49, China 85 and 86. Mongolian score was 0.73, in which they by these 3 categories, you just take the major statistics is life expectancy in Mongolia is 69.7, almost 70. It was 60 in 1990. Then education of years of schooling and expected, it was expected 40.2 years in Mongolia, but actually it was on the mean of the average study was a person was 10.2 years. In a decent standard of living, gross national income was calculated, and luckily that calculation was taken for 2011, where Mongolia had the highest income. That was by PPP parity, purchasing power parity. Calculation, it was over $10,800 US. So with these statistics, indexes, Mongolia took 92nd place. Actually, this is an important statistics for decision makers and also media and NGOs. And I hope this UNDP will translate this report into Mongolian. You know, there are 15 or so UN agencies in Mongolia working. And from last fall, we have Secretary General Representative Office. Mr. Tapas Mishra is the head of that representative. And the head of the UNDP is also replaced recently, a new person from the US. And this translation of the article will give a good chance for Mongolian SME to elaborate, understand, and use quite new estimations for example, how they poor, what is the inequality, etc., about which we will talk more, I think.
So, as you said, the report mentioned about the inequality in Mongolia. So, could you please tell us more about the terms of inequality in Mongolia?
You know, inequality of what? The question. It was answered by Professor Amartya Sen, which was quoted in this report. It says, he answered with equal simplicity. He said, of the things we are care about to build the future we aspire to. So everything that's important for building our future is an equality issue. So to be exact in this report, it is, by the way, SDG, Sustainable Development Goal 10.1. Under that goal, inequality, inequality, for example, shown poorest 40 countries of poorest 40% of the people in Mongolia owns 20% of national income, 40-20. Then the richest 10% owns 25%. 25.6. So it's 50% altogether to 46%. So the rest is the average middle class. And Gini coefficient in Mongolia is 38%. That coefficient shows if it is absolutely equal, it will be 0. Absolutely unequal, it will be 100%. Mongolia is 38%, the level of India. So still there is a big difference between rich and poor in this country. There is very interesting statistics inside. One is the Human Development Index, the other is Inequality Adjusted Human Development Index, which shows that this inequality, if it is reflected, if it is directly reflected in inequality, then the life expectancy in Mongolia will go down 13%. Education, 12%, and income, 16%. So it's a good food for thoughts for journalists to think over, and whether it's going to be more inequality in this country or less, and why. So that was a good, that's the indexes of inequality in this report.
So about this one, what did the government do in 2019 in terms of the human development, like in these three categories?
Well, some works have been done. For example, if you take in, say, life expectancy. Here, we first of all, you would think about the air quality, for example. This year, Ulaanbaatar smog and air pollution is way less, almost. The visual air pollution is almost maybe 10 if it's 100% before, which is a good news. And it is a decision of this current government not to allow bringing raw coal to the country, to the city, and instead they use the washed oil, washed coal, briquette coal briquette, I'll call it. And of course, a lot of things to be made in terms of prevention of diseases in Mongolia. People usually go when they are already not healthy, so we need to change a lot our health. Lifestyle, healthy food, and healthy society that makes impact on life expectancy, which is already for last 30 years we have 10 years more. Life expectancy is already good news, but we still need to do a lot. In terms of education, now this year we have less children go to schools where there are 3 shifts. Some 500 of them are less, and which is good news. However, we still to do a lot to increase our education system, to increase the competitiveness of our graduates. The third one is about decent standard of living. Ulaanbaatar people have more and more apartments, though not to the extent we would like to. 40% of the Ulaanbaatar city and 20% by all country people live in a housing conditions with engineering infrastructure. Every year, around 15 to 20,000 people go to this kind of residence apartments, though it is not enough compared with the households who live in Ger district. And this year, first time, 1,500 people go to a new terms of housing, renting, which is good news. And according to NOOSC, the construction company, people will have more chances to have renting than later on buying those apartments. So mostly people, senior people, and those with the physical difficulty, those people will have this rent houses, which is a right trend, good start, but still we need a lot to make even way larger, way more apartments we need than, though we have so many of them are being constructed, but it's more very expensive compared to the average capacity of purchasing.
So what about in the rural area? We just talked about in the city.
Yes, it is, as I said, 40% in the city, 20%. That means in the IMAX, in the Somong centers, we still need to make more of that engineering infrastructure. And still it is, we see more concentration, more migration people to more settled areas, cities, towns. And however, our herdsmen, in particular in wintertime, since they are following better pasture land, of course the condition is different. So it's a matter of having, of course, a living standard higher, and first of all, supplying water and heating to every household in the country, and still a lot of things to do in the countryside.
So from your point of view, which category should we more focus on in the upcoming year?
In all three, there is no special priority because all of them are priority. In particular, we should pay attention to better housing conditions, of course, first of all, and to pay attention more about the education and the need of jobs. So because we have so many people studied, have a higher education, but then they are doing all their reception job. And at the time when the special skilled labor we need, and we import them from China and other countries.
So what are the possibilities of solving this job demand and supply chain?
It is a matter of better connection of businesses and education, in particular higher education or the vocational training education. And it is also kind of incentives to be given for creation of jobs. So it's good that they have canceled the increase of, for example, social insurance taxes to be increased 2% this year. Late next year it will stop. So this kind of approach will help companies in creating new jobs in Mongolia.
Okay, so let's get into our second topic. On the 2nd of December, Ulaanbaatar City's Citizens Representative Hall made a decision to increase annual road tax in Ulaanbaatar City by 5 times. Expressing their opposition to this decision, drivers protested along the roads of the Government Palace on 9th of December. After this, the Prime Minister ordered the mayor to take another look at the decision. So our first question about this is that why is the government decision being recalled so fast, and will this kind of decision-making way become a norm for Mongolian parliament?
Unfortunately it is, and it's very bad practice. Government is making one decision, then the higher ranking the organization cancelling or recalling that decision, which is very bad practice. Then immediately question arises. The way how we make state government decisions, administrative decisions, is wrong. Structure is wrong. They do the decision without a proper study, without hearing the comments of the people, not without explaining the people why are they doing that. This explanation was given by the mayor of the city only after that strike, that demonstration. It's first. Second, it is a quality of governance, public governance of Mongolia. They don't reply to complaints of the people. At times bureaucrats don't know how to reply to particular comments, or they ask their their leaders, their heads of the departments, which at times don't know really either what to do and how to do. So it's a matter of quality of qualification of the bureaucrats, and it's a quality of independent review of the decision-making capacity of the administration in the country. The third, in particular, when you talk about the increase of taxes, you should clearly explain to the people what is the reason to increase the taxes, because taxes are coming from the people's pocket, which otherwise can go, the 1/3 of the country is living under poverty, and this tax is paid by everybody. So it should be very much large, long consultations that people understand why it is necessary. That road tax increase is necessary. It's clear. Because now Mongolians, in particular Ulaanbaatar city, we now spend more time in our cars, stuck in traffic jam, than even in the office, maybe even in the home. Soon probably we will stay there forever, for whole night. So it is a matter of making certain decisions which may include either increase of tax for the road or increase of tax when you purchase car, particularly old car. In particular, that more than half of the country's Ulaanbaatar city car is in a right-handed Japanese car, old Prius. And yet this country is a right-hand traffic rule country. So it's a high time to make certain decisions where the politicians don't like it. They in particular to do it before election. And we need to have some solutions. It is a matter of increasing also payment fee for coming into the center. It's a matter of relaying these railways, cargo transportation through the city, long planned, talked, another line branch around Bogdha Mountains to the south. Why they are not doing that until now? Because this railway is run by two inefficient governments, Mongolia and Russia. They don't pay tax, and yet they are not efficient. They are not doing that road. We talked long time. So this kind of decisions are made for the sake of the better living of Ulaanbaatar city's citizens.
So did the mayor really make a decision on sensitive subjects like increasing tax, like you said, without the permission of the prime minister when the election is so close? Or is he just playing another election game?
It could be. But the mayor, ideally, the mayor of city should not ask any politicians what to do with the city, because he's the mayor who is representing our interests. But in Mongolia, it's like one of few cities in the world where the mayor is not elected directly. It is elected from the city parliament members, Horal members, and confirmed or approved by the prime minister, who is the head of the political ruling party. So the concern arises what the ruling politicians have to do with the waste management of the city, water, other supplies. Let the mayor do on decisions. I mean, now it is recalled by the prime minister. He's now recalling that decisions through Horal representative people, explaining that the prime minister is not allowing me to do so. And now, I mean, we need more money for our roads, true. We need less cars on the road, true. And who is making the person who is to make decision is the mayor, and now he cannot do these decisions, and it means we'll have a more traffic jam again, and we will have less maintenance of the road, which is already not that good. So a lot of things. It's a time to make certain decisions for our traffic jam of Ulaanbaatar city.
So, as usual, some people say that the protesters were paid. So could you give us an insight on paid protesters and actual participation of the citizens?
Yeah, paid protests. These words come because really sometimes they are paid more than, say, food or the cost for the laws, the motto and
Right.
sign, everything. It costs some money. And this microphone, the car to bring the podium, altogether it costs certain money, right?
Right.
But they go beyond that. They're paying the people. That's something that the media is to go after. Unfortunately, our media, majority of our media belongs to either one of those organizers or anyway politicians and or large companies. They only use their media power when it is when the idea crosses their interests. So Mongolian media is to be more independent and unbiased in order to talk about this paid demonstrants, as you are saying.
So is 5 times more tax reasonable, Sam?
Not, of course not. I mean, you can increase a couple times, but you should explain before where the previous money have gone, which is we don't hear anything. Let them explain what they're happening with the previous money, why is not enough, compare with the expenses. Then it will have a sense. Smaller car up to 2,000 cubic centimeter cars, volumes car will pay less. The bigger one, larger, which is right. But only the base start 5 times, although it's not substantial money, 100,000 tugriks per smaller car per year. It was 20,000. So now we stay with the same less money and same bad road maintenance and the same amount of car, and almost every day 5,000 car comes new. So it's unacceptable conditions in Ulaanbaatar city.
Okay, so let's get into our third topic. The Parliament of Mongolia approved the law on defense and other related laws about lawyers on 18th of October 2019. However, the President of Mongolia vetoed the part about establishing Association of Mongolian Advocates, and this veto was not accepted by the legal committee. Now, Minister of Justice said that the Bar Association will be abolished. So our first question about this one is, why is the President of Mongolia against establishing advocates associations, whereas the Minister of Justice wants to abolish Bar Association and establish Advocates Association?
It's again conflict of interests, fights for vested interests people. Because this Bar Association, or we call it Union of Lawyers, they made the change in 2007. In 2007, after we had 5 people killed after the election, and these people, parents of those young people, have approached to court, and they want to find advocate, and they did not. That was not possible. No advocate want to be defendant, be advocate for these cases. So after that, they changed the law. 2012, this Union of Advocates were abolished, and then they created the Union of Lawyers, or Bar Association, American version, Western version. So what happened? This Bar Association had a right to give a license to lawyers. Okay, right. University students come and give a license here, and it substantially decreased the power of ministry. Now it became powerful, and at times they were not listening to the politicians, which got angry, the current Minister of Justice. And now it raised immediately one point. Unions, associations, NGOs, assemblies are people's full right to do so in democratic country. But in Mongolia, unlike many other developed democracy, some associations are established and guaranteed by law. We have a law, for example, this association. We have a special law for trade union. We have a special law for Chamber of Commerce. So all this together creates a certain organization with the law. It's like a state agency. Eh?
Right.
So that differences are unfortunately existing. And now, because this one is against the power, ruling party, for example, who is refused to accept the president's veto. This association will be abolished, and there will be the advocacy associations, which will have mostly that right of licensing the lawyers.
Right.
An advocates association will give a license to lawyers, which is again a kind of conflict of interest. And now we have also some 3-4 unions of lawyers of different names. It's at a high time for the lawyers get together and get united and get federation kind of united, get elect the president in open way through competition, through election, so that they are accepted by all lawyers, which is not the case. Any of them are accepted by all lawyers. It creates again the fault among the lawyers, which will make weaker the power of lawyers, which will make stronger the government, which at the end will decide to give what penalty and what the court will give a decisions run by a lawyer. So it's a very unfair situation in Mongolia.
So what kind of problems will we face if the current law on legal defense is implemented as it is without any change?
Well, the advocates will have more rights, and there is a group which was feeling comfortable before, which was cancelled, and they have some even financial duty to some insurance company, Mongol Tatral. And probably they create more businesses, but probably they will increase the license fee, and they will cancel some fees. They will make sure they will enforce their authority, which will create, I think, a lot limbo in the justice system of the country, and it does not help to have more legal justice in the country, which is already very much bad situation.
So, lawyers said that the number of cases related to money was closed due to the statute limitation during the Nyamdorj term. So, does the justice sector itself need protection from the Minister of Justice?
Not only this sector, but also Mongolian nature needs protection from the Ministry of Nature Protection, and Mongolian justice system needs protection from the Ministry for Justice. And this kind of paradox is existing in this country because we are too much politicized, and because there is less participation of the people for demanding the justice, like in other countries, like France, more developed democracies demand their rights, which we somehow not do, and they misuse that silence or relatively not active participation of Mongolian citizens for their own benefit, to making the state power stronger, and particular corruption not punished. That's the case where recently the chief prosecutor, a corruption case of $5 million now recently closed due to the expiration of the date for investigation of the file, right, which people find very unfair. And this is not only one case. There are many other cases where the lawyers, the advocates, the justice system workers have a more priority, more advantages than ordinary citizens. That's one of the reasons why Mongolia is in gray listed. So until we have a justice system to be just, it will stay in this gray list. And unfortunately, that will be felt by ordinary citizens, not by our rich parliamentarians and politicians.
Okay, so that is all the time we had today. Thank you for staying with us. We will see you next week with more topics.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Goodbye.